Okay, I'm Lisa Bloomer. I'm the GCP project manager overseeing 4 of the greenways, including Fulbourn, that we are presenting on tonight. I'm just going to run through a few slides on the kind of background to the greenways, the Fulbourn route itself, and then I'll pass over to my colleague George, who's going to take us through the designs for phase 1 of the Fulbourn Greenway. So thanks, George. If I can have the next slide. So the greenways are a network of 12 active travel routes looking to improve routes for walking, cycling and, where appropriate, horse riding. They run from settlements and villages outside of Cambridge into the city centre. And there's kind of a mix of completely new routes or new sections with also sort of improvements to existing paths. So a bit of a combination across the whole network of the greenways, looking to improve active travel into the city centre. So if I could have the next one, thanks, George. So in terms of the Fulbourn Greenway, it runs for approximately 4 miles with a half mile and 0.6 mile spur, which is snaky path. The route runs from Fulbourn village through all the way through and across the Carter Bridge in Cambridge, so connecting to the railway station there and onto the Chisholm Trail. The route starts in Fulbourn, and that's what we're going to sort of concentrate on tonight, so the eastern section. It starts as a quiet road, so looking at bringing in measures to reduce traffic speeds and provide a safer environment for all users there. The path then continues from Fulbourn along Old Drift and crosses Yarrow Road near the Tesco supermarket. Then there's currently quite a narrow path between Yarrow Road and Cherry Hinton High Street, which we would look to improve. And then the Greenway uses the Tins Path and crosses over the Tins Path Bridge. And that's where the spur along Snaky Path alongside Cherry Hinton Brook runs off, as you can see on the map. And then the route continues through, the sort of winds its way through the residential roads, including Pern Road, through to and across the Carter Bridge, and finishes at Devonshire Road, the other side of Carter Bridge. In terms of the route itself, there are a number of complex interactions along the whole route with Network Rail assets and land. They include, to a lesser extent, the Carter Bridge, and then predominantly the Yarrow Road level crossing, the stretch of land that I just spoke about between Yarrow Road and Cherry Hinton High Street, and also the Tins Path Bridge itself. So therefore, we've decided, in order to progress the Fulbourn Greenway and make progress and sort of, you know, push it forwards a bit, we're going to split the engagement on the route into 2 phases. So phase 1 is what we are currently engaging on and presenting on tonight, and we've got the designs to talk through in a moment. So phase 1 would be the section from Fulbourn Village through to Yarrow Road, which is shown on the map in the sort of hatched dotted outline. And then phase 2, we will bring forwards once we've sort of just resolved some of those discussions with Network Rail. So we are in liaison with Network Rail. We are having those discussions and meetings about all of those interactions and sort of progressing those discussions there. So we would look to bring phase 2 forwards, hopefully for engagement later in 2023, so later this year, just subject to those sort of discussions and agreements with Network Rail. So in terms of phase 1, as I've said, we really want to sort of progress the Greenway. So we're engaging on that now, and then we would look to submit that. So following the engagement and taking on board all of that feedback, we'd look to submit that to the GCP Executive Board in the December round of meetings. And that would mean that we could start construction of phase 1 next year, so in 2024. And in terms of the design stage and programme, all of the technical concept designs are complete. So the team have been undertaking a lot of technical work in the background, including undertaking site visits, topographical surveys, technical concept drawings, which we'll talk through tonight, and sort of environmental constraints mapping as well. So if I could just have the last, I think this is the last one from myself. So the public engagement on phase one, the eastern section of the route, which, as mentioned, goes from Yarrow Road through to Fulbourn, that's going to run for 4 weeks. So it's live now. It's running from midday 26th of June to midday the 21st of July. It includes this virtual public event, and then myself and the team will be in person at the Fulbourn Centre, running a drop-in event on Thursday 13th of July, so Thursday next week, between 5:30 and 8 o'clock in the evening. As usual, all of the materials are online. So the brochure that we've developed, all of the technical drawings and the feedback survey as well. So anyone sort of watching this, please do fill in a feedback survey and make sure that we have got your responses recorded. In the run up to this public engagement, we've undertaken a number of meetings and workshops with key stakeholders, so including our sort of colleagues at County Council, the Non-Motorised User Forum, and of course Network Rail, and our discussions continue with them. And the purpose of this engagement is to allow stakeholders and the public to comment on our emerging designs for phase one. So thank you. I will pass over to George now, I think, to take us through the design proposals for phase one, the eastern section. Thanks, George.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I'm George Ridley. I worked as a design lead on the Fulbourn section. I'll just jump into some of the designs. Starting at the eastern side of phase one in Fulbourn, we've got Anthorpe Street and Cow Lane shown. And through this section, we've proposed a range of traffic calming measures. So we've got a 20-mile-an-hour vehicle speed limit proposed, as well as some sinusoidal speed humps. These will be positioned every 50 to 70 meters, designed for cyclists to comfortably pass over, but also provide enough of a gradient to slow down vehicles and keep them within a 20-mile-an-hour limit. Passing on to Hinton Road and Cow Lane Junction, we have a similar approach, so more sinusoidal speed humps and a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. We also have a junction bypass at Hinton Road. We've proposed widening to this section, so a 2-meter eastbound junction bypass. And for westbound cyclists, we've got some improved wayfinding through on-road road markings through that section. This is to continue along Hinton Road towards the Fulbourn Old Drift Junction, which is shown on the bottom slide. We have a similar approach. The 20-mile-an-hour speed limit has continued, more speed humps, and an improved junction bypass facility for both directions for cyclists. So this is in the form of a path, 2-meter cycle track coming off the junction, and it will allow cycle users visibility in both directions and improved waiting area for that. Heading along Fulbourn Old Drift, 20-mile-an-hour speed limit is continued. Speed humps are not proposed through this section. We have some on-road markings to improve wayfinding throughout the Greenway. And this heads towards the old Fulbourn Cemetery, which is shown on the top slide. The users are expected to join the existing multi-user path, and they will head along towards the path north of Tesco's. In this section, we've proposed widening to 3 meters for shared use space there, and improvements to the existing surfacing. a site visit noted that there was plenty of root damage, and we would look to remove this as part of the proposals. And heading towards the extent of phase 1, the red dotted line shows the extent of phase 1 proposals on the east section, and the greyed out area on the west section of the slide there is the planned extents of phase 2.
Thanks, George. Thank you, Lisa. And so just a reminder that the engagement survey will close on Friday, the 21st of July at midday. And if you've got any further questions you'd like to submit to the team, you can do that via email. And the email address is contactus, all one word, @greatercambridge.org.uk. Thank you.